She is obviously pilled out and senile. She's
It's so fucking bad, dude.
Wow, this is my 13-month comment.
Like, how are you worse than like Republicans on this, dude? Anyway, they're making him out to be a martyr. Here's the thing, okay? George Floyd didn't like martyr himself. He was executed. He was murdered. Okay, he was murdered by cops. There is no. It's a little different. You know, it's not like he wanted to be murdered. It's not like he was like, oh, sick. Like, yeah, murder me so we can like solve police brutality, because we're not. We're not solving police brutality either. It's just fucking insane to say. I just don't know how you. I don't know how you. Somehow the Nancy Pelosi video is actually worse than the tweets described. Yeah, it's so bad. Okay, anyway,
Crowder has small peen energy.
Okay, all right, let's just move on. Fox News reacts to the Derek Chauvin guilty verdict.
Your reflections on all of it.
Hi.
Now, Trey, thanks.
Yeah, Dana, I mean, I had, 50 homicide trials when I was a state prosecutor. It's a mixture of emotions right now. You're probably back in the room meeting with George Floyd's family, and there are a lot of tears because no matter how triumphant the verdict was, your loved one is still dead. I think it's a celebration.
This is literally Trey fucking Gowdy has a better take than Nancy Pelosi, dude. Trey fucking Gowdy. This motherfucker can't even find a barbershop, okay? He's like 70 years old and he's never had a good hairstyle. And he's got the correct take here. Stop saying based.
Of our justice system. It is the only institution, Dana, I can think of that's left in our culture that anyone has any respect for. We don't respect the media. We don't respect the legislative process. Some of us have lost respect for religion. So it's the justice.
Okay, I spoke too soon. This is why you can't say based for
system.
Republicans.
And then you need to take a step back and say, okay, well, what is the justice system? It's 12 ordinary Americans who do the right thing. I mean, that should be celebrated. A judge. I mean, the reason I don't like politics is because there is no judge in politics. You have a judge in the courtroom. And even a bad judge, this one was good, but even a bad judge is better than no judge. But you have 12 Americans from all walks of life who come together in pursuit of justice and the right thing and applying the facts to the law. And I just think it's something to celebrate despite the tragedy that it cost the life of George Floyd.
Thank you, Trey. We'll be back around to you. I want to get to Lawrence Jones now. Lawrence, we as a channel have turned to you over and over again since this all happened. You started your career in criminal justice. That's where your passion is. And so let's get your thoughts now.
Yes, it's the first time that...
Yeah, the jury is just completely random, too. That's why they randomize juries. You know, just 12 ordinary Americans, which is precisely why, you know, juries don't or court locations don't historically move to like overwhelmingly white neighborhoods, for example, or there aren't specific fucking literal lawyers on a team that get paid to pick jurors that are going to be favorable. You know, the jury selection is not a real thing. It's just great. I love that. I love when people are, when prosecutors or ex-prosecutors have takes like this. It's fucking great.
That there's been a national case like this where I haven't been in the city with the people covering it. And, you know, it's interesting because it is a moment because you have the thin blue line. Unions all over the country, police departments all over the country said this was not us. People all over the country.
Yeah, they really, that's the wildest thing is that they just fucking hung him out to dry, dude. They really did. GG's for Derek Chauvin. Like, it's kind of wild seeing motherfuckers who normally act that way just be like, oh yeah, this is not us at all. Look the other way, guys. Look the other way. Come on. They will, perhaps they will not notice that we have done this a lot.
No more GTA.
Or they were just like, oh God, it's so terrible what Derek Chauvin did. Very different than what we have ever done and would never, I would never, dude. That's that guy. Totally unique.
Said, this is not America. That's not what America's about. And a jury of his peers, a diverse jury, who typically gives the benefit of the doubt to police officers, said, oh no, boy, this is not us either. And so it was a moment to say, as other panelists have said, that this is the American way. But after all this is said and done, Americans are left with the thought, okay, what do we do now? What do we do now? We go back to work. We go back to work. We treat our fellow men and women as human beings. And you don't go out there and be like Chauvin. And we know that the majority of us aren't like that. Because that day when it was going down, American citizens that witnessed this, as the prosecution alluded to, still called the police because they are noble. They do, in large, do the right thing.
I feel like he's just running out the clock. I don't know what's going on. Like, he was just like, this is my moment to shine, baby. Let's go. Who knows when I'm going to get another opportunity like this. I'm just going to fucking send it, dude. I'm going to keep it going. I love the takes that, like, look, this is a, part of me wants to say this is a gift. The other part of me wants to say that this was hard fought. You see what I'm saying? Like, because it says a lot about our expectations, or at least my expectations of the American criminal justice system, when justice serves, where justice does occur, and it actually ends up favoring the victim rather than the police in a circumstance, and dudes are literally out there being like, both on the left and the right, except for the liberal center, I guess, straight up saying this happened because of public pressure. You know what I mean? People on the left are saying this only happened because of public pressure, which is kind of true. Right? Who knows how this court case would have occurred, or even if it did occur, if it wasn't for the eyeballs that it had. People on the right are saying this only happened because of public pressure, in the sense that they're saying that the jury would not have deliberated in the way that they did if it wasn't for the public pressure, which is bullshit, right? But both sides are saying that there was public pressure in it, and I'm saying that the public pressure was good. But it's weird that this is what is required for a crumb of hope that justice will be served. That, like, buildings need to burn, that people need to fucking absolutely lose their minds for understandable, righteous anger, justifiable anger. And then in a situation where someone who is literally fucking caught in 4K, all the way down to, like I said, the 720p, to be tried and found guilty of murdering someone in cold blood, in broad daylight, when they're a cop and the victim is black.
Thank you for what you do.
It's wild. It is straight up fucking insane that in order for just a shred of accountability to happen, that's what it takes. It's crazy. Crazy. Anyway, I'm not saying that the public pressure changed the jury's point of view, by the way. I'm saying that if it wasn't for that public pressure, we would not have gotten to this point, I don't think. George Floyd would have been yet another black man who was murdered by the police. If you look at his original medical report, if you look at the original report from the Minneapolis Police Department, the way that they talk about it is just proper protocol. Yeah. There was a police altercation during a regular apprehension when the cops went to a forgery call. And, the person that they apprehended ended up getting into a medical situation and passed away at the hospital. A medical incident is how they referred to George Floyd. A medical incident. Not a medical incident when you have your fucking knee on someone's back for 9 minutes, choking them out on the concrete. That's murder. So, I need you all to remember that this was expedited and pushed to a trial quickly so that there could be some sort of justice, some semblance of justice. That happened as a consequence of public pressure. Okay? It should not require this level of public pressure. It should not. So while on the one hand, I do feel a little bit of victory, I feel somewhat happy. On the other hand, I still look at the larger picture and I think to myself, God damn, this is what it fucking takes. This is what it fucking takes. That's crazy. That's why I think when other countries look to the United States, they do not see a beacon of hope and prosperity. They look to a country that is not evolved, okay?
Thing, even though there's many of us, including me, I've talked about my personal experience with bad apples. The majority of them do their job. And I think it sent out a clear message to those 2%, 3% that are bad apples. The American way, you can't get away with it. You might as well turn in your badge and gun now, because this is not how we do business here.
Lawrence, thank you.
Yeah, it's just he's playing his part. Like he's supposed to say the system works. See, like this is it. This is it.
Martha, you were there on the opening day of this trial, and one of the witnesses, actually, I remember, was the EMT that she was a fire, I believe, with the firefighting service, and she said, you know, like, I'm an EMT. Let me get involved. And of course, the police said Derek Chauvin pushed her back. Yeah. That was, as Lawrence was just speaking there, in terms of the people who tried to do the right thing in the middle of all of that.
Yeah, it was a microcosm that was tragic, and it displayed a lot about the worst and the best of human nature. The people who wanted desperately to help, she said that she was still tormented by the fact that she didn't save his life that day. But I want to say something about what we just witnessed, about this courtroom and about Judge Cahill. You know, he chose to televise this trial. And I am very glad that he did, because what has been proven today with this verdict is that even somebody like Derek Chauvin, who had nobody sticking up for him and who was so difficult to watch as he ground his knee into this man's neck, gets a trial. He has due process. He has the...
Remember these words, ladies and gentlemen. These are, listen, this is important. The way that they speak about this trial is important. The way that Republicans speak about this trial is important. Because, this is, that's why I kept saying, like, nah, this is pretty open and shut, dude. They're trying their very best to still make Derek Chauvin out to be a victim. This one is, but overall, like, they're literally not even doing the regular racial agitprop that they've engaged in for years.
The opportunity to have an attorney on his side who speaks on his behalf. And that attorney did a darn good job. He tried as hard as he could to create any environment where one of those jurors might have found a window to say, maybe that's not the reason that he succumbed to the pressure on his neck. So Derek Chauvin got the best of what the United States justice system provides. And this, I hope, that what happened today, this guilty verdict, is a message that is loud and clear across this country. Now, this isn't to say that every single time the country gets it right, or the jury gets it right, or the judicial system gets it right. We've all seen cases, even very, very famous cases, where we felt that that wasn't the case. But in most cases, this is what we see. And I hope that I think about Chelsea Handler, right, who tweeted, so pathetic that there is a trial to prove that Derek Chauvin.
Yeah, that's dumb. Hollywood celebrities are stupid. Shut the fuck up. Like, yeah, obviously. Look, I'm sorry, guys. That's not how it works. Yes, if you're saying, like, I can't believe there's a trial for this, like, you're stupid. What the fuck?
So there was a political...
Oh, Tucker Carlson's fucking Jokar moment, right? He had an Indian Jokar moment, I think. Tucker Carlson had a complete meltdown tonight in response to a former New York corrections officer who criticized Derek Chauvin for using excessive force on George Floyd. Here's how the interview abruptly ended. Should we go into the fucking abrupt ending, or...
context around this trial. Politics shouldn't have any effect on any trial. Again, that's antithetical to what justice is. But they did intrude at every level of this case. We'll tell you how. After...
Yeah, see, this is Tucker Carlson trying to dance around the N-word, okay? I'll just say the N-word. People like Tucker Carlson love wanting to be able to say the N-word, but they can't say it. So, like, it's a big part of their political ideology to, like, try to dance around saying it without actually saying it. You feel me? And this is what that is. Like, right here, what Tucker Carlson's trying to do is, like, say the quiet part, which is, I am very upset that a black person was murdered in broad daylight by a cop, and the cop couldn't get away with it. Okay? That's what he's actually trying to say. Because in his mind, he's thinking, I think police should be able to murder black people, especially if they're, if they have priors and I believe that they are scary and drug addicts. So that's the real thing that he wants to say. But he can't say that because it's so fucking clear cut. So he's not going to say it with his chest. And instead, he's going to look to, oh, God, this trial is so politicized. It's crazy. Like, oh, I just can't believe how fucking politicized the trial was. Like, bitch, did you look at the evidence? Did you analyze the evidence at all? If you did, you would recognize that the prosecution did an incredible fucking job. And it was pretty open and shut. Okay? I said it throughout the entire time.
Boom.
And the irony here is that the real fun, I guess, or tragic, yet also funny part about the way that conservatives operate here, whenever they get mad about a just sentence like this, is that their expectation is that the justice system is supposed to be unjust. Their expectation is that the justice system is supposed to side with the cops. So when it doesn't, they're like, oh, what the fuck? Come on, dude. Why do we have a criminal justice system if cops can't fucking murder black people in broad daylight and get away with it? That's the real reason why they're upset, because they're like, well, this is how it's supposed to work. Because they recognize the cruelty that is within the criminal justice system. Their expectation is that the justice system is supposed to be unjust. And when it's not reaching that unjust conclusion, well, they go, what the fuck? This is what you're supposed to do. Cops are supposed to kill scary black people, and judges are supposed to let the cops get away with it. Prosecutors are supposed to look the other way, and judges, in a really crazy instance, where prosecution does come forward with some charges, is supposed to, look the other way. That's their expectation. That's the hidden truth behind the reason why conservatives are upset about this.
After the verdict, Joe Biden declared that systemic racism is a stain on this country's soul.
A jury in Minnesota found former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin guilty on all counts in the murder of George Floyd last May.
Boy.
It was a murder in the full light of day, and it ripped the blinders off for the whole world to see the systemic racism the Vice President just referred to. The systemic racism is a stain on our nation's soul. The knee on the neck of justice for black Americans. Enough of this senseless killings. Today's verdict is a step forward.
Systemic racism, a term that neither Joe Biden nor anyone else who uses it has ever defined with any precision whatsoever. But more striking is Biden's posture. You'd think he'd be excited by this. Just this morning, as the jury was still deliberating, the President of the United States said he was praying for a guilty verdict.
I'm praying the verdict is the right verdict, which is.
I mean, the jury's already in deliberation at this point. They can't fucking hear it. Like, they literally don't know what Joe Biden is saying. It doesn't matter. So that's when he said this, they were already sequestered at this point. He can say whatever the fuck he wants. Doesn't matter. So stupid. Like I said, guys, Tucker Carlson and other Republicans who are upset about the verdict are actually showing their true expectations of the criminal justice system. It's one where cops are supposed to kill black people and get away with it. Okay? That's the outcome that they want. That's the outcome that they're used to. So when they don't get that outcome that they're used to, they're like, what the fuck? This is bullshit.
I think it's overwhelming in my view. I wouldn't say that unless the jury was sequestered now. Not hear me say that.
Well, that's really great. That's great. Joe Biden, even in his senility, is aware. I did tweet that, what I just said. Joe Biden, in all of his endless senility, is still aware that the jury is already sequestered. So what he's saying is actually not even impactful remotely. So unless Tucker Carlson believes that, why do they not clip chimp themselves? I really don't understand when the fucking idiotic producers over at Fox News, like, why did they play the full clip? Like, they should LSF clip chimp it. I don't know why they literally play the entire clip.
When was the last time a sitting president weighed in on a jury decision before it was made?
Can you imagine? His audience is so fucking stupid. His audience is dumber than senile Joe Biden. Tucker Carlson is in full cry tonight about Biden's comments today, asking when was the last time a sitting president weighed in on a jury decision before it was made? Never really. Yeah, I find that hilarious that not only did Donald Trump weigh in on it, but he literally was just like, we are going to change. Like, I'm going to pardon him. I'm going to pardon everyone. I don't give a fuck what you're doing. Pardons are coming.
Answer: never. The White House was asked about this just a few hours later and pretended that Joe Biden hadn't actually said what he actually said.
You're not able to clarify what is overwhelming, the evidence, the case presented by the prosecution?
We're not going to get ahead of the outcome. I expect when there is a verdict, he will have more to say.
The president has talked about the importance of an independent judiciary. Why is it appropriate for him to weigh in on the verdict, even though the jury is...
I don't get it. Hey, at least fucking, Joe Biden wasn't directly related to George Floyd in a meaningful way. And or Derek Chauvin in the case, if we were trying to turn it into like a Trump analogy, you know what I mean? Because that's what fucking Donald Trump did when a dude who was doing crimes for him was caught. He was weighing on that decision a lot. Anyway, before I continue with this video, boys, girls, and NBs, it is top of the hour. Now, what that means is there's a 6-second ad break here. I'm going to run it right now, a 6-second ad break. And if you would like to no longer see the ad breaks, what can you do? Well, you can subscribe. You can subscribe for $5 or for free like Ogini just did with a Twitch Prime for 10 months. You can connect your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account and get one free Prime subscription a month that you can use on your favorite streamer. Hopefully, I am your favorite streamer and no one else. And you can use it here. So, yeah. And you can even use your wife's boyfriend's Amazon Prime account and connect it to your Twitch account and get one free Prime subscription, or your mommy's. Anyway, fuck, man. Steven Crowder is so fucking insane. He's done a lot of insane shit. We're going to run the ad now, and then I'm going to continue with the video.
I don't think he would see it as weighing in on the verdict. He was conveying what many people are feeling across the country.
Yeah, he was just conveying what many people are feeling. He wasn't weighing in as the single most powerful man in the world on a jury verdict that hadn't been reached yet. He didn't say what you saw him say. If that sounds like a familiar defense, it's exactly what Maxine Waters and her defenders throughout Washington are using today after Waters threatened the jury with violence if it didn't find a guilty verdict.
Bro, Maxine Waters is the scariest person to Republicans. Yo, it's wild. I watched a video on one of those fucking Instagram accounts, okay, of this like dude, this white kid who like is clearly like a frat fucking kid, cracks open a bottle of like whiskey and like shoves a goddamn fucking straw through it and like literally chugs a 1.5 liter bottle of a handle of whiskey. Okay, so he just downs it immediately. Okay, and someone in the fucking comments wrote, "Bro, these people not afraid of anything but minorities." And it's the truest fucking comment I've ever seen, dude. These guys, they'll do the craziest shit, but then turn around and they're just afraid of Maxine Waters. Like, bro, if you sneezed in Maxine Waters' direction, she's like 78 years old. A light breeze is going to take her off, okay? A light breeze could take her out. Like, how are you unironically trying to make an argument that this lady is like, oh, she's really agitating people? Is she 82? I don't even know. I don't know how old she is. She's old. She's very old. She's old as fuck. Look at the damage Maxine did to Michael Tracy. He still hasn't recovered until this day. She's superhuman. It just blows my mind, dude, that they're just like, this terrifying individual said that there will be continued protests on the street if a just verdict has not been reached. The terrifying individual, 82-year-old Maxine Waters. Well, she is black after all. Look at how black she is. That immediately should give you concern. I'm Tucker Carlson, and this is the Nightly News.
We've got to not only stay in the street, but we've got to fight for justice. But I am very hopeful, and I hope that we're going to get a verdict that will say guilty, guilty, guilty. I don't know whether it's in the first degree, but as far as I'm concerned, it's first degree murder. Well, we got to stay on the street, and we've got to get more active. We've got to get more confrontational. We've got to make sure that they know that we mean business.
So there's a reason police were all over the streets in cities across the country last night, and it's the threat of violence. And Maxine Waters threatened violence before the jury had even begun to consider the facts of the case. That's so far.
Like, what are you trying to say? Like, you're conservatives be like, I'm so macho, okay? Conservatives be like, I'm so macho, I'm a manly man, and then turn around and be like, I am pissing, shitting, and farting that this 80-year-old woman said that of course there is going to be continued protests if justice is not reached and our struggle continues and our work continues. You know what I mean? Like, how are you like the macho man Randy Savage while you're like literally terrified of a tiny little 80-year-old lady? I'm Tucker Carlson. And why are liberals not talking about how hard my diapers are filled when considering Maxine Waters existing, saying things? Terrifying to think of, folks. Imagine black people as legislators. Terrifying.
Over the line that we read, some Democrats were shocked by it, and yet no one condemned it. That includes the president, and it includes the most powerful people in the Democratic Party, the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, Steny Hoyer of Maryland. They came out in support of Maxine Waters. And then state media, literally state media, public broadcasting system, came out today with an explanation at the White House press briefing. Watch this propagandist.
Tucker Carlson literally will be like, immigrants are vermin, or they're dirty and they're parasitic. And then turn around and be like, I can't believe the dog whistles that Maxine Waters is engaging in. It's like, dude, where are your dog whistles? Maybe Tucker Carlson doesn't know what a dog whistle is because he just only has the bullhorn, you know?
Explain what Maxine Waters really meant.
Representative Waters, as you said, clarified. She said, my actual words don't matter. I wonder why the White House isn't also coming to the defense of Representative Waters, given the fact that she's now facing an onslaught of attacks, especially by, I would say, Republicans. I wonder why the White House isn't saying, we back what she said about being confrontational. She was obviously not threatening violence. There are civil rights leaders that are saying that's what civil rights is to be confrontational, to be active.
Well, she also clarified her own remarks, Yamiche, and I think that's the most powerful piece to point to.
That lady works for you. She literally works for public television, and there she is ardently flacking for lunatic.
The fuck?
Maxine Waters at the White House press briefing.
Why is Tucker Carlson making it seem like PBS is like some communist state broadcasting remnant? You know what I mean? They're libs, dude. They're literally fucking libs. It's just, that's the most you're gonna get.
Oh, it's all normal. Don't worry.
I don't think that's how PBS works anyway.
And our leaders haven't always talked like they're seized by religious fervor. Here was the Speaker of the House today thanking George Floyd because he died.
Nothing is public in America, dipshit. Nothing is truly public in the same way in America, okay? Don't worry. Your kin have made it so that, nothing is actually public.
In order to make the Democratic Party more powerful. For his sacrifice, she said. Watch this.
Thank you, George Floyd, for sacrificing your life for justice. Because of you and because of thousands, millions of people around the world who came out for justice, your name will always be synonymous with justice. Unless we can change the law, this will be an episode. We change the law, we're going down a different path altogether.
So the guy dies on the sidewalk, and here this...
Okay, this part, I fucking hate this, but Okay, so Tucker Carlson has a legitimate meltdown, okay, after,
wife's boyfriend
he has a legitimate meltdown after the corrections, former corrections guy, Ed Gavin from New York City, says something along the lines of, that was unjustifiable use of force. And he just has his Jokar moment. Like, he has his, wasp Jokar moment. Not Indian Jokar, but wasp Jokar. I'm scanning through the video really quickly because there is some footage of the actual event that took place. Hold on, I'm going to actually grab a fucking... I am going to grab a diet soda before I play this. I'm sorry. Hold on.
Wife's boyfriend unhappy.
My legs are just not working, okay? I'm in a lot of pain. Whew. My legs are... I'm yelling because every time I get up, it's just like it hurts. It hurts my fucking fifis. It hurts my...
I just think that it was excessive and it shouldn't happen. And what I'd like to say...
The guy who did it looks like he's going to spend the rest of his life in prison. So I'm kind of more worried about the rest of the country, which, thanks to police inaction, in case you haven't noticed, is boarded up. So that's more my concern. But I appreciate you coming on, Ed Gavin. Thank you. Nope, done. Thank you.
To be here for 6 months.
What the fuck, dude?
We've just learned the verdict.
That is fucking insane. My dude is losing it. He is literally fucking losing it, dude. He has lost his mind over, again, a fucking black person being murdered by a cop and the cop not getting away with it. That is... Holy shit. I mean, there was that one time he verbally abused Rutger Bregman. Tucker has always been a class act. Did you talk about Ma'Khia Bryant yet already? No, I have not. No.
Thanks for the great RP content.
How does it feel to know that that is your peer at the other end of the table? What do you mean? You rail about the cancel culture of your political opponents and then cancel your own talk show guest? Yeah, I mean... And Republicans will say liberals only get triggered? Yeah, no, I hate...
Love you, BB.
Let's run it again. Let's run that fucking video again, actually, because it's...
The scene. I just think that it was excessive and it shouldn't happen. And what I'd like to say...
The guy who did it looks like he's going to spend the rest of his life in prison. So I'm kind of more worried about...
But the guy who did feels like he's going to spend the rest of his life in prison. Like, why are you so sad? Like, why? Why is it so hard for you to hide your emotions? Like, he's literally overcome with emotions, overcome with sadness. First of all, he's not spending the rest of his life in prison. He's probably going for like less than 20 years. Okay, he's getting less than 20 years.
At Hasanabi.
But like, why are you so upset? Like, aren't you like, this is a bit like Nancy Pelosi, right? Nancy Pelosi doesn't give a shit about George Floyd one way or the other, and she can't hide it. So she accidentally says, oh, shouts out to George Floyd for being murdered. It was pretty fucking pog, you know? And this is the other side of the equation where, like, he is literally, like, Nancy Pelosi doesn't care. He is upset. He does care, but for the other way around where, you know, cops are getting punished for murdering black people. That's unacceptable. And he can't hide it either. He just cannot hide his feelings, his true colors here.
Asshole.
The rest of the country, which, thanks to police inaction, in case you haven't noticed, is like boarded up. So that's more my concern. But I appreciate your coming on. Ed Gavin, thank you. Nope, done. Thank you.
Joining us on the line is
a deep dive into the Derek Chauvin guilty verdict. There was a Derek Chauvin found guilty on all charges. I don't really fucking care, to be honest. Should we watch the actual Ben Shabibo shit? Like, I want to know if he's like...
Misty Maris. Misty's a trial attorney based in New York, specializing in the defense of clients in entertainment, sports, employment, civil rights, and sexual assault and abuse cases. She, of course, was covering the show.
Yeah, I don't really care about this. I don't want to watch this. It also has 4,000 views. What a bitch, dude.
We've just learned the verdict in the Derek Chauvin trial, and we will be coming to you live with as many updates as possible. Right.
I'm not sure whether the sentencing is cumulative, or whether it is they take the top sentence and then everything else falls under that. But because he doesn't have a criminal record, that means he maxes out at 12 and.
How does Ben not know that? I mean, I didn't know that either. I'm pretty sure it's not cumulative, but.
12.5 years for second-degree murder, 12.5 years for third-degree murder.
Didn't he go to fucking law school? Like, literally, like, I'm a fucking idiot, but motherfucker went to Harvard Law and doesn't know. I guess it's because it's by state.
4 years or so for the manslaughter charge. It was pretty obvious from how fast the jury came back that it was going to be guilty on all counts. As soon as they said the jury...
In certain instances, if it's like kidnapping and also on top of that, like some of these are stackable charges, but the way this is, and I don't know what Minnesota law is, but the way this looks like it was that the second-degree murder was the highest charge you could get. Nice. So because he got the highest charge you could get, I don't know if the other ones stack on top of that.
Hassan, my man. How's it going today, brother? You talk about the Columbus, Ohio shooting yet? Feel bad for the cop. The girl
is coming back today. I immediately said to my producers and publicly that it was going to be guilty on all counts.
Most lawyers literally just Google the answer to state-specific questions like that in real time, billing $600 an hour in 6-minute increments. You fucking asshole. Don't say that, dude.
Counts because they were never going to acquit on all counts that quickly. If there had been an acquittal, it would have taken a while to get there. My own prediction was that if there had been any sort of real evidentiary consideration, which I frankly do not think that there probably was in this case, it was a 3-week trial. There were 10 hours of consideration. That is wildly disproportionate in a case that has this many conflicting fact patterns. That if they came back this fast, it would be a guilty verdict.
What does he mean when he says this many conflicting fact patterns? Oh my God, that's Native American Elizabeth Warren in the back. What were the conflicting fact patterns, dude? There was overwhelming amount of evidence on the fucking side of the prosecutors that they laid out, and like wishy-washy deflections at best from the side of the defense. They literally were like, what if it's... I mean, there's another meme going around on the internet right now in like Black Twitter and shit that like, I had never even seen this, even though I was watching the fucking trial. I didn't even catch this, where like his defense attorneys, Derek Chauvin's defense attorneys, literally say something about aliens. Like, what is that? Like, what is the longer fucking take there? I don't know, but like, they tried everything, dude. They were just
Carlson moans when he wipes. Also,
like, what are the conflicting fact patterns that like, well, carbon monoxide poisoning is actually a very real concern. Many people die of carbon monoxide poisoning in broad daylight, open, in broad daylight. Like, it's just...
Thanks for carrying the stream chat, Pogu.
I thought any jury that looked at this would probably have gone hung jury on the 2 murder charges, and then maybe convicted on the manslaughter charge, if you were going to get very aggressive.
Yes, I know Mara Wilson is Ben Shapiro's cousin, but she avoids him. I think she blocked him or something. The term is concurrent and consecutive, not cumulative. I want to see this motherfucker's grades at Harvard. Yeah.
That would have been an aggressive jury. If you were not aggressive jury, you would have hung on all 3 counts. And if it had hung on all 3 counts, if it hung at all, then the judge would have instructed them to keep going back in the jury room, trying to beat it out, because the fact is that you need a unanimous verdict for either acquittal or for conviction in Minnesota. The fact that it was unanimous that quickly meant pretty clearly that it was going to be conviction on all charges coming out. We'll have to see whether people who had, spent their nights planning for rioting and looting now actually go home, or whether they go ahead and hit the local target in celebration, presumably, of the verdict. But I think one thing is...
shouldn't that also show you something that, like, if these people are such uncontrollable animals, that's what Ben Shapiro is trying to say, that love rioting and looting. Classic, nice trope, by the way. Nice trope about black people, by the way. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Black people love rioting and looting, dude. Yeah, you fucking got them, dude. So what's up? Why didn't they riot and loot then when the actual verdict came out? So maybe there is a specific reason why, people react the way they do to injustice in the criminal justice system and feel like they are pushed into a fucking corner where there's no other way out. And this is the only way that they can have their voices be heard or have a semblance of justice. Maybe that's the real reason. Oh no, what are they gonna do? They can't riot and loot. Oh, that's so shitty. That's so whack. It's so fucking whack. Ben just admitted why he's upset by the results is because he couldn't talk about the optics of rioting and looting. Yeah.
Pretty clear for anybody who watched this case closely. I don't know how closely you watched it, Drew or Jeremy. I know, Matt, you watched it really closely. For people who watched this case closely, there are elements here that it's very difficult to make the case, to me, that any rational jury would have, who just looked at the evidence, would have come to the conclusion that beyond a reasonable doubt, Chauvin was guilty of 2nd or 3rd degree murder. This just did not fulfill the elements.
I mean, that's like kind of a self-report on his own personal biases, I think, more so than anything else. This is after so what Ben is trying to do here is basically state that the reason why the jury came to that conclusion that they did is because of the black people that they were afraid of. That's what it is. How did Ben Shabibo originate? Dude, I don't even fucking... Oh, well, I do, though. In a Los Angeles... in some LA fucking music school.
The 3rd degree murder charge particularly is absurd on its face. The 3rd degree murder charge never should have been allowed in the courtroom. The 3rd degree murder charge is a charge for what is generally called depraved heart murder. Depraved heart murder is you throw a brick onto a freeway, and you don't have anybody you're explicitly attempting to kill, but you end up killing somebody on the freeway. You shoot a gun into a crowd. That's depraved heart murder. And that was what the 3rd degree murder charge was. You have to have intent to kill others, right? And then you end up killing one person.
2 months.
It was counted anyway. It shouldn't have been on the docket. The 2nd degree murder charge required felony assault that results in the murder. So usually that is where you're robbing a store, you got a gun, the gun accidentally goes off and kills somebody, right? Or the guy dies for some other reason while you're in the process of committing.
Or I don't know, or hey, you're choking someone
Hit me with a brick.
Or you're literally fucking stabbing someone's neck with your knee for 9 minutes as they choke to death on the concrete. You know, that sort of murder. Like, that sort of felony assault, which, by the way, the jury also decided was felony assault.
Some sort of felony. So you had to show that he intended to commit a felony against George Floyd. It's very difficult to say that he intended to commit a felony against George Floyd because Minneapolis Police Department procedure allows you to do exactly what Chauvin was doing under these circumstances. The manslaughter one was a little bit easier to make because the charges in the manslaughter case, you just have to have reckless disregard. So the prosecution can make the case that even if he didn't mean to do anything bad, it was reckless for him not to get off of Floyd. Once Floyd was already unconscious and once Floyd was dying, he should have gotten off of him, and it was reckless not to get off of him. But the fact that they can...
Come on, at least say that's the most reasonable one or something. There's no way.
Convicted on all three counts says to me that they weren't really looking at the evidence because, again, all three of those charges also rely on a simple question of causation, right? Did George Floyd actually die because Derek Chauvin was on top of him with his knee? What the defense showed repeatedly is that he did not have his knee on his neck, right? There was no physical trauma to his trachea. There was no evidence that there had been physical trauma.
Wait, what? So I don't understand. Did he just watch like only the defense in the trial and literally not even look at the video, not even look at the expert testimony that not only showed the video but also recreated it? And I mean, I remember talking about like Dr. Tobin literally being like, when you pull up someone's left hand in the position that that Derek Chauvin did, when they are handcuffed behind their back, you shut off, and giving percentages like you shut off this percentage of oxygen from the left lung. Like, literally, their own medical experts were just fucking admitting it, dude. It's insane.
To his arteries that would have cut off the oxygen to the brain.
Yeah, maybe he just watched Schroeder's fucking Steven Crowder's mock video and thought that's the actual one, right? That's the real video.
There are a couple different types of asphyxia. There's physical asphyxia where you actually strangle somebody. There's you deprive somebody of oxygen to the brain by cutting off their blood supply via their arterial blood flow. And then there is a chemical asphyxia, which is drug overdose. And the fact is that George Floyd had 3 times the deadly level of fentanyl in his system. He was high as a kite. He had 75% arterial blockage. The medical examiner originally said if I'd found him dead in his room, I would have immediately assumed that it was a drug overdose, right? And the only reason that this became a national issue is because of the tape, which on its face, when everybody first saw it, looks really ugly. Because it turns out that a lot of policing looks really ugly. And then when you get all of the lead up, at the very least, you don't have to say that you love what Chauvin did. You don't have to say
that wasn't even true. So what's up? So we're just fucking lying? Or, like, that's what we're doing? I mean, I guess, like, if you're Ben Shapiro, you just lie.
Say that Chauvin acted appropriately. You don't have to say any of that stuff. What you do have to say is to not even believe that there's reasonable doubt on the murder charges. On the murder charges, where you would have to have intent. That suggests to me that this was far less about the actual facts of the case and far more about all of the hubbub surrounding the case.
Wait, no. The specific type of murder charge that Derek Chauvin was guilty of does not mean that there needs to be intent. It means that there needs to be intent to engage in a violent felony assault. They proved, in my opinion, beyond a reasonable doubt, that Derek Chauvin engaged in violent felony assault when he fucking put his goddamn knee on George Floyd's neck. How many more fucking, how much more? There is no amount of evidence that will, when I see a case like this, and when I see the reactions from the likes of Ben Shabibo, I'm sorry, there is no pleasing these people. It's just like, there is nothing. There is not a There is not a single instance that, like, there's nothing that will please them outside of just, you know, the criminal justice system doing what it's supposed to do, which is, you know, let cops get away.
Glad I've been in this community for like 5
Yeah,
months.
the fentanyl
Also
present present in George Floyd's system
2 years ago.
is not enough to
Has
cause his death, said the experts. So that's also another fucking lie. This is straight up a fucking lie.
The AI singularity will fix all our problems, Munkor.
It's so wild that, like, yeah, they are they're just, I don't know, dude. I don't know what to say about it. It's just
the case. This trial never should have taken place in Minneapolis. It should have immediately been transferred in terms of venue. You were not going to find an impartial jury in Minneapolis in the single most publicized criminal justice case of our lifetime, at least since Rodney King. Joining us on the line is Misty Maris. Misty's a trial attorney based in New York, specializing in the defense of clients in entertainment, sports, employment, civil rights, and sexual assault and abuse.
he's just mad because no, he's like, the trial shouldn't have taken place in Minneapolis. It should not have taken place in America even. Just go to, like, I don't know, go to a place like Poland or something. Gutless, Greg Gutfeld bows to the mob. What?
Greg Gutfeld. I was trying to avoid talking about this. Right. I try and avoid talking about this stuff, especially when it's someone who, you know, I've personally known, had a relationship with.
GG.
But this was making the rounds. Greg Gutfeld saying that he was glad Chauvin was found guilty on all counts, even if he wasn't guilty on all counts.
Yeah.
And so I initially read it, and I said, and people were jumping on him. And I said, look, I haven't seen the whole clip. I know he can be sarcastic. So it was probably taken out of context. And I know Ben Shapiro said that he screwed up. Other people were talking about it. I said, look, this is one of those things. Are people just not understanding the sarcasm? And I want to be clear here. So I wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt because on a personal level, I know that I've spent time with Greg Gutfeld. Not a huge fan. Not a man known to be of the. He's very much a quisling for the higher ups. Will say whatever he needs to say to be paid, and you know, probably the biggest gossip I've ever known. So even then,
it's literally because Greg Gutfeld said Steven Crowder is in the closet homosexual man, and he can't stand him, and is the least funny person he's ever booked on his show or something. That's why. That's why he's saying he's a huge gossip.
You've never heard me say anything because I've just tried to remove myself.
Yeah.
But here is the clip from Greg Gutfeld in its entire context, and it doesn't get better.
That was what was creating the perception of division. Everybody agreed this case was disgusting and ugly and there should be justice. But there was another story being played a lot. And now I'm going to just get really selfish. I'm glad that he was found guilty on all charges.
Yeah.
Even if he might not be guilty of all charges. Oh my God. I am glad that he is guilty of all charges because I want a verdict that keeps this country from going up in flames.
Oh my goodness.
No.
What do you mean?
Look, Greg, listen.
What do you mean? No, I'm at least being honest. My neighborhood was looted. I don't ever want to go through that again.
We do not sacrifice individuals for the sake
I'm
of
saying he's
how
guilty.
people
I'm
feel.
saying I'm glad about the verdict.
Okay, but the bottom line is that courtroom is a place where the evidence is brought in. It is pristine in terms of the way it's handled. Everything outside of the courtroom does not enter it.
Okay. Whoa. Did you wait a second? Did you hear what Mike Tobin said when he was interviewing some people when they said, hey, we're not going to loot tonight, we're going to celebrate? We were dealing with what we thought was a sense of extortion, that if this didn't go a certain way, I'm speaking the truth, if it didn't go a certain way, there was going to be a
Yo, I'm not going to lie, I kind of don't have a problem with this. Maybe I'm the only one who feels this way, but like, I low-key don't have a problem with like white people being so scared. Like white conservative commentators being like terrified of black people in this way. Like, good. Yeah, no, be scared. Like, fuck it. You know what I mean? Like, they're ridiculous. It's like a ridiculous fear, but if it's gonna like guide them into just being like, yeah, I guess justice was served here. Like, yeah, just be afraid, okay? Or you can be a normal human being and just be like, you know, excited at the prospect that just be a non-racist human being and be excited at the prospect that justice was served.
Of light in this pandemic. You are a beast.
You know what I mean?
Keep up the work.
Just think about that. Fear leads to violence. Actually, such a bad take. Listen, the only motherfuckers that are like, I am so afraid. Well, they're fucking racist motherfuckers. Okay, so if you're terrified of black people, then you're probably kind of a racist. So, you know, be afraid. Fuck it. You know what I mean? Especially because it's not true. Like, it's not like a real or reasonable fear. We literally don't know what you mean. In the minds of these psychotic racist people, justice is only served when people actually react. And it's not just black people, it's all people reacting. Okay? And there is actually a truth, a little bit of a truth, a crumb of truth in how that works. That's why at the time when the original like George Floyd protests were starting, I had the take that I did. You feel me? You understand? White people should be grateful that black people want equality, not revenge. Yeah, I agree.
Wahoo.
I get what you're saying. The ends typically don't justify the means, but if people being terrified of me as a black person keeps them from doing objectively terrible shit to me, I guess it evens it out. You're implying that all those people looting are all majority black? Motherfucker, if you're new here, Anchor Zulu, and you've never heard me talk about these issues, then maybe don't chime in. I've literally never been like, motherfuckers are looting in the streets and they're all black people. As a matter of fact, one of the most common things that I criticize is the racist trope that like angry, violent black people are looting the sneaker stores, and that's precisely what you see in local media. That's all they fucking show.
There was going to be destruction. We know that. Why pretend otherwise?
All right. So, come on. Everything that he just said, we all agree with. He's talking about, well, listen, I'm just being honest, the threat of the mob. The reason people are outraged is because the truth then leads to his conclusion, which is cowardice.
Yeah.
That's the issue. All those things can be true. The mob, right? People saying that this city was going to burn. You watch them on CNN saying you could cut the tension with a knife. Everything that he just said was accurate. Now, a man would say, and we need to do the right thing. Now, he seems to think that Chauvin was entirely guilty.
Wait, what do you mean we need to do that? What's Steven Crowder's take here? What's doing the right thing?
He doesn't know anyone who doesn't think that Chauvin deserved that verdict.
Yeah.
Again, this is an issue of being in New York City, being out of touch. Keep in mind that a lot of these people at Fox News, a lot of these even conservative pundits at the other networks, they choose to live in New York City, and they are somewhat out of touch. I know plenty of people who think that Derek Chauvin didn't deserve anything, and I know plenty of people who thought he deserved manslaughter, but it was an unfortunate situation. I know people like Dave Landau. Greg knows no one who thought that this was maybe not justice being carried out, and he doesn't care as long as he gets his. Truth, 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 and then conclusion determined by cowardice. That's why people are outraged, just to be clear. That's why people are upset. And I'm not outraged. I just think it's sad.
Yeah, well,
I think it's sad. I wouldn't want to be that guy's wife.
He set it up terribly. He said, I don't...
I mean, I almost want to be like, bro, if you have no one in your fucking near vicinity that feels as though... If no one in your vicinity felt the way that they did about Derek Chauvin, when there's plenty of fucking conservatives that literally thought that he should get the book thrown at him, including fucking Pat Robertson. Like, come on.